And we're back.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Another loss. One more. Another loss. Oh, my God. What are
Another
you
one.
doing? Losing. What are you doing? Losing. What are you doing? Losing. We're like anti-opposite DJ Khaled. Welcome back to the Trash Trade Show. What a weird intro, but we come in with the energy because that makes more sense than even making sense right now because I'm just spitting right off the dome. I have nothing fucking planned.
I love it.
Except just a little bit. You know what I'm saying? How you doing, Luca?
We're back at it. You guys already know. We got some, trashy trades. We're kind of like fucking ICT's little fucking kid, blowing up his top steps
Yeah.
accounts. We're fucking Anton
Oh,
Creel's
man.
itty bitty cousin that trades Forex. We're in there, man. We lose a shit ton. And yeah, we've got some lessons to be learned. And,
I don't know if we lose a shit ton.
I do.
Well,
I do. I think we
okay.
could clarify, but.
Sorry. I lose a shit ton sometimes.
Yeah,
I've been
I think out of the couple of me and VJ, because we're in a relationship right now, I definitely lose more
Lovers.
than VJ. Absolute lovers. And
I
yeah,
wish we weren't even talking. I wish we weren't even talking about this because guaranteed I'm gonna be
like for
losing
example,
a little
last
bit
night,
this week.
last night
Oh,
we're in
man.
Europe, so like the market is open late at night. Me and VJ we were in bed.
I'm not in Europe. Oh yeah, I am.
Yeah, me and
Today.
VJ were in bed,
Yeah, right
and
now.
he was on the laptop, looking at the markets. He was trading a little bit. I turned around, I
Yeah.
looked at him, I threw him his shirt to put it back on, and then he was like, "Oh, I might go long here," and then this is the trash trade that occurred when I tried to follow him in bed last night, yeah, I think that's it. We got the silky sheets. You already know.
Yeah.
Some
Also, let's not forget the most important thing. I mean, there were silky sheets, and then he did, go long and fumble the bag, even though this is the weekend and this trade apparently happened on Wednesday. It all makes sense, and it actually does make sense
It does.
because the more interesting thing was we as I was on the laptop placing my trades, doing my thing, Bitcoin doing its thing, Ethereum doing its thing, whatever, you know what I'm saying? I saw a little flash, a little notification.
No.
Mike Tyson's fighting Jake Paul?
Oh, and then that night,
What the fuck?
VJ, I fucking threw VJ's clothes and all his belongings out the window and locked him out of the house.
Yep.
And it's a big movie
Yep.
scene because he was taking Mike Tyson's side out of Jake Paul versus
Yep.
Mike Tyson. Like that's crazy. Like Mike Tyson would get fucking. He's an old man. He's an old man. Let's be honest.
Listen,
here.
we know Prime has steroids, okay?
And yeah, we broke
Jay
up.
size gotten too big. Logan Paul's gotten too big. Jake Paul's gotten way too big. This is obviously Rory's in prime. People
Amen.
who drink that, get your levels tested. If your balls are shrinking a little bit and you're drinking a lot of prime, is there a direct correlation? I don't know. But as a scientist,
Balls are
I
shrinking.
look for the evidence.
I agree.
As Luca knows, I'm just looking for the evidence. So I just noticed everyone I know that drinks prime has gotten real huge. And so I can understand why Luca thinks that, Jake Paul might get Tyson out of here. And I could see it too completely, Jakey Jake, he's 27 years old. Mikey Mike, he's 57 years old. More than double his age. But if you think about it, though, the thing that I'm mostly thinking is more like muscle memory, or as Luca likes to call instinction, or as I like to call instinct, where Mike was doing, this thing for a high level since he was a kid. Maybe not since he was like 6, but I think something like early teens at the very latest, maybe a little bit earlier. And he was the fastest rising prospect that became, world heavyweight champ by 20, I think. And maybe it was 18, but I think it was 20. And so he did this, and it's like more ingrained in him. And, even when he had his harder time, like, boy kept training. And there are videos of him in the past few years, and he's been training, despite, his age and his prior, like, drug abuse and stuff like that, which, all these things. Yeah, but the thing about Jakey Jake, we were talking about Mikey Mike. Jakey Jake, he's newer to this. When Mikey, at the very latest, when he started training, let's say it was like 12 or 13, Jakey Jake was in Disney, or whatever the fuck, not boxing,
And conclusion.
And so there's a thing with like muscle memory, like I think Michael Jordan at 57 could have beat me at 27,
in conclusion, Prime makes
Yeah.
your balls shrink, and just exactly like VJ's balls last
Yeah,
night.
hey,
Roll the
that's
intro.
right.
Order filled.
Oh, that was fantastic. That was amazing.
That's actually pretty good. Even though
VJ,
that's supposed to
VJ,
be
have
my
they
intro to say to roll the
reinflated?
intro, but that was good.
Oh,
That
I'm
was
sorry.
good. That
Have
was
they
good.
reinflated after last night, or are they still peanuts? What are you thinking?
Hold on, let's take a second. Let's take a second real quick because Lucas stole the baton. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Just a moment of silence. Moment of silence for the baton steal. And yeah, they've reinflated.
Okay, that's good. I'm happy for you. Anyway, we got a fucking good ass trade.
Let's see.
Back to the point.
All right.
Yeah, a little educational apart from that fucking. If you want to have a Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fucking argument in the comments, you fucking good for you. You do whatever you want, but you'd be wasting your time. We already know the outcome of this fight. It's all a money grab in the end. Anyway, back to the trade. This
Yeah.
was a absolutely destructive trade on my part, and I'll kind of briefly explain. I'll go over a little bit of my overall bias. We were kind of trading upwards, and
What minute is this?
this is the hour. So
Okay.
I was thinking that we were gonna get to OTE of this sort of leg, and I wanted a further into OTE. I wanted a sweep of these highs for more of a move down. So I was bullish on the day. That was kind of what I was thinking. I had my daily bias as bullish. I was kind of trying to catch an entry, and I made a little bit of a mistake here. And this is my mistake personally. Yes, we saw my analysis on the larger time frames. You know, you can go on those hourly charts, those even the 12-hour. Nothing wrong with that. The real thing that I lacked in this trade is lower time frame confirmation. And that's in terms of a smaller time frame OTE entry. For example, you guys know me very well. If you guys have been listening for a while, I look for the OTE entries. So as ICT traders would call them, OTE entries, which is a entry inside the 618, in between the 618 and 0.786. And that's literally my model. I always take an entry in that fib from a recent high or low, and this is when I was missing it. I missed my OTE entry. In fact, I just sort of was looking so highly at that higher time frame bias. I wanted that those hourly highs so bad, these ones right here, that I kind of just threw away the smaller time frame OTE entry. But you know, this was more of my trade. I took a shitty entry based off of a quote unquote liquidity sweep. It's not a liquidity sweep, but let's say quote unquote is swept liquidity here. Not in a major area, not in discount. But we'll see. I'll play a little bit of the candlesticks. You can kind of see my mindset of what I was thinking for this trade and what sort of played out. So a couple of candles in. It wasn't an immediate stop out. We were kind of trading in between these two fair value caps for a while. I think however many minutes. I think it was a while. But you know, we traded and then I got stopped out. And we saw a massive wick from my stop out. And I think we continued upwards for a little bit. And yeah, I'm a quickly throw the mic to VJ, and then I'll share my opinion on what sort of happened.
Well, I'll play the candles for a little bit longer, if you don't mind. I want to see where it ends up going. If the idea was correct, or if
So
okay.
there was a bit of
So okay, so like this is the thing that actually. There's two interesting things about this, and I do this a lot on my losses too. Actually, it's something I've noted. Go back to your higher time frame analysis.
This is the hour right here.
The hourly, right, and then draw the fib, right?
From this high and this low, or this.
No. The whole reasoning why you're expecting higher.
Gotcha. Okay, so this
on the entire range. Sure, yes. So okay, so what's the level that it hit? By the way.
A 618.
Right, and you wanted higher because you want deeper in OTE, right?
I did, yes.
Yeah, so this is the thing, like what you were doing is like rather than watching the market to see that once it got into discount, so at the 50% mark, it could turn around.
Yeah.
Right. It often wants to dig further into OTE, and often, ideally, into the 70.5 or whatever, but or even the 786 to get a nice deep discount rip. But the thing is, the price really only needs to return just a little bit of an equilibrium and take off. And when price starts hitting these areas where you're anticipating a move and you're like, okay, my bias is still bullish despite the fact that we've hit the area where I'm anticipating the other side move, but because I believe that these highs look clean enough to take at a certain level that I like, aka I want it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then now you're not doing analysis, you're projecting your desires onto the chart. So like there's a thing that I've been doing, I think I might have mentioned it last week, is like what I try, like I tend to be I visualize success to do it. It's just something that you do on the way, like when you're about to trade or follow your rules, because that's what trading is, then I envision myself following my rules, right? But sometimes I'll be in a trade and then I'm like visualizing the candle doing what I want when that is the wrong thing to do. And
Yeah.
that I should be looking at it for what it is. And so what you should have noted there is we are in premium. We've hit the 618. I would be very convinced that we reverse from here, but if we show reversal signs at any point, we might just never go up to that area. If you had that thesis and instead of your bias, you're like, because I remember that time of day, and I was like, Mixie could go up, could easily dump for the lows, could just use this area to retrace and then come back up. But I'm more leaning in shorts are about to become a play. And even if this goes up however many points, whatever, it's just tough unless it's very clear. And if it gives any reasoning. And then now you go to your lower time frames. Right. And then notice that move down into the place where it sweeps and you go up.
Yeah.
It makes these like lows and then keeps breaking the lows while making fair value gaps. Sort of saying I'm on a temporary bearish order flow at least, because there's many like fair value gaps and things that it could have bounced on. It attempts to, but then it keeps going down. And it's actually starting to break structure. And then your long idea is sort of valid in a way where you like wait for the sweep and you're expecting a move back.
Yeah.
But the tightness of your stop means that you are very convinced on your timing. And that was the other thing. It's a little tough to
that's interesting you bring that up, because that's
time it perfectly.
That's really like you really read it well, because it kind of ties in with a lot of things. And I'll give you sort of my mentality when I actually got to the chart, which I was very I'd say keen to trade. I was kind of seeing this higher time frame rise. I was looking for that price target. I was in love with that price target, obviously. And then as soon as I go to lower time frames, I just, I decide to go for the whatever entry, not the solid entry that I backtested my model on, not the entry that's the actual strategy that I trade. I decided just to go to the lower time frames and look for a quote unquote sweep, a sort of impulse move, and then set my stop. And this is another this stop loss placement, as you said, which was perfectly read, is another reflection of that, in like me being so anticipatory, I think that's a word, for the take profit, that I was just trying to I was just trying to go for it. Really, I was being really impulsive on my stop. I didn't let it breathe. If I were to let it breathe here, maybe I would have been at green a little bit. But really, this was a pretty short stop, and it just ties into that mindset of, I just want that price target. I just want that price target. And that'll evidently lead you to take those really lower quality entries, and those entries that's not with your strategy, and, stuff that you shouldn't be doing.
This is what's crazy, and that's such an accurate read. Like many times when you're looking at the higher time frames, you'll see your setup, and then you go into the lower time frames to zoom in, and you see the same setup. And so if you're looking and if you're thinking that my bias is potentially short because we're starting to hit the area that I would like to see a reversal, and then you take a fib from that recent high to the low, you'll see you get another OT entry to short.
Yep.
But instead, you saw a pattern that you liked, and you're like, let me go ahead and do this. Where if you look at that one, that's a breaker, that's a unicorn entry, an order block that causes a sweep, steady breaker structure down, a bounce, a retracement down, and then pays beautifully. You could put the stop at the yeah.
And I think another thing is really this trade shouldn't be like even though there is an OT entry, there is a reasoning for this move down. I want to also emphasize that a part of my instinctive my instinct I'm learning now, and my really anticipatory mood, right? My mood just for those price targets was I didn't check the news, right? I didn't go on Forex Factory. I didn't actually see if there's any, PMI or whatever type of red folder news there is. And right here, this was actually news, and this is sort of an area where I don't trade. If there's news, I absolutely steer clear. Within hours of that news being played. And this was another really evident piece of evidence that, in fact, when I took this entry, this was a real, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Like I was really, I was just too seduced by my take profits. I think
this is when I say that this is like a pattern trading in a way. Is like you saw what in you visualize the loss, you visualize the win, which led you to the loss.
Yes, exactly.
You hit an area where normally, if you were clear-minded and just calculating with no thought process on gains or wanting to take a trade or not, you're just looking, right? Because the best trades are when the market tips his hand. Okay. So like when I'm trading best and like I was looking at this area, and at that time I was trading like pretty good, right? Once it starts hitting into the premium and discount, I see that we're hitting like higher time frame PD arrays. Like I'm like, okay, I don't know what it's gonna do. If I was longing, I would have liked to get in a lot earlier. Now longs are much less probability. At any point, the price can go down and start sweeping for a while before it comes back. It can go back into the discount. You know what I'm saying? And then go. So you don't know.
Exactly.
If you're thinking just on the higher time frame. But you do know if in an absolute blank slate, I would rather short than long.
Yeah.
Like, so you already knew that, like, if you're just thinking about it straight uniformly. So then if you're like, I don't know what I want to do. I do see prices been moving up, but like this can turn around anytime. I would need a clear indication and reasoning to get in, even if you're scalping in. This is why, like, I always think that the higher time frames are so key to really understand the price, and then you make all your shit much higher probability.
Absolutely.
Trading in the way of this. And so even if you're like, okay, we're gonna head to all-time highs, which we ended up going to. At this point, it's tough to get into longs, and you're just gonna have to wait for an ideal time to get in, or you just don't get in. And that's like the discipline, because we can only make money following our rules. And so you visualize like, oh, we could get an optimal short entry, but like I want to trade now. So like let's go a little bit higher.
Exactly.
When the market really has no true indication that it is. And then you try to have an entry where it's like, I executed perfectly. I know exactly where it's going to stop. I don't have a real setup. So like, because if you waited for the setup, you sort of don't get it. And then you don't take the trade. And then you could be like, oh, why was I so wrong?
Yep.
And then you might be like, oh shit, we're back in the discount. I could probably long from here. And then it could just like, you were wrong, but no capital was lost because you waited. And like this is where I've been really leaning on and just following the rules, even if I know and have a good indication, and be like, man, maybe I should soup it from here. I just don't. Like what I
Absolutely.
was gonna say is you should. I think one thing that might help you a lot, and this is something very simple. And actually, what Tom sort of mentioned in his last lesson is I think you should write down your trade criteria and just have it right by you.
Yeah.
And then like you don't do anything without it. Like for me, I need to have a higher time frame bias, usually based on it hitting a PD array of a IRL fair value gap, or maybe like an order block, and then heading to ERL. Have that draw understood. Then look for an intermediate time frame alignment, break a structure, or at least a change of state of delivery, and then an entry be shown like being retraced to there, and like hopefully also the form of IRL to ERL, internal range liquidity to external range liquidity, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
One being the stops, the higher the low, the internal range being the fair value gap or the PD array. And then I go in the lower time frame and then wait for an entry there. And if I don't get those alignments, I don't do anything. And to be honest, like I think it was Thursday, the price moved down 100 points. If I had taken a 5-point break of structure instead of the 15-minute that I should have been waiting, a 5-minute break of structure, I would have caught some of that, but my runners would have got smashed and the play wouldn't have been high quality. And I wouldn't have got a real trim. I would have got just a monetary trim of desperation. But I was waiting for the 15-minute, and then it went to a 15-minute PD array and then wicked back. And I realized, oh, we're doing the model in the opposite way. And the price moved 100 points, and everyone would be freaking out that they missed the move. But I realized, oh, shit, flip to the 1 minute, look for my lower time frame entry now that I had the 4-hour and the 15-minute all aligned. And I got my 100-plus points following my thing, feeling strong, never FOMO'd, because my criteria is clear. And like I can just explain it to you and the audience just like that. And so you need your criteria to be clear. If the price on the higher time frame or any time frame is hitting the 618, why do you think it needs to go to the 705 or the 786? That's not your model is playing the 618. So you hallucinated a desire onto the chart.
Yeah.
And it manifests this, and a lot of us do this. Like sometimes I'll be in a bad trade and I'll just be like, you just go, and then you just see this, and it's giving you every indication. You have slight green, just closed. This is bad. We're failing to make highs. You see how we're wicking. Oh, there's a fair value gap there. No, like I told Has once, and this is like honestly the truth. Like I told him this a while ago. Was you want to be a detective in terms of your analysis abilities. You want to pick up the clues and not dictate what it's doing. You're just picking up the clues, letting the chart telling you what it's going to do. And when you get enough clues, often it's pretty clear. And you're only looking for like 1 or 2 trades.
Yeah.
So you can wait a while till it's clearer for you. And you're like, oh shit, like, yeah, this might be a retrace against the thing, but I know we have a high probability of getting there because of this, and this. Everything about your model lines up. And you're not, the only thing you had to do is just to wait and keep doing the work and looking at it actively, but not pressing a button. And then the trade becomes clear and you do it and you don't force it. Our friend, we have friends who force it. And that's one of the things. When I try to force it, I lose. And if I just wait, it's whatever. People can make as much money. It doesn't really matter. It's like, what is clear for you that is your model? And most of the time you'll notice that they're not in your shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's they're not trading the same model. That's the nature of it, and so
yeah, I think it's interesting because it's more of the mentality that I had, I'd sort of say, because it is an obvious red flag when you sit down on the charts and in the first 10 minutes of looking at the charts you place a trade. or you
Yeah.
know, you look at the charts and you've been anticipating trading all day, and then you straight away you place a trade, and you just want to be satisfied with that adrenaline of putting your money on the line. And I think it's really about that mentality that you have towards trading. You know, uh, something that I sort of do, that has helped me a lot with keeping my head clear, and you know, keeping me focused while trading, is just to wait. When I sit down on the charts, I become comfortable with the charts by waiting. You know, I see how things play out. I monitor myself and my attitude towards the charts. Am I too, you know, happy? Am I too like, am I do I have a lot of want to enter a trade? Do I you know, am I reacting to certain things impulsively? Anything like that, any sort of a thought or emotion that goes through your mind while you're waiting and you're seeing the charts should play or should indicate really on how you're gonna trade and you're gonna perform on that day. And I think that's something that I didn't do in this chance. This is a, you know, it's a prime example of, you know, what'll happen if you just sit down on the charts, you place a trade, right, and then straight away. I think this was easily avoided if I would have just sat down with the charts, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is, waited a little bit, got comfortable with the charts, you know, had a trading plan, and you know, executed on my strategy, and not just that, you know, the addictive, you know, adrenaline rush that you seek to have while placing a trade. I think that's something to completely avoid. That sort of mentality of you just chasing that adrenaline, chasing that dopamine. Excuse me. I think it really ties into how you trade. And yeah, if you really wait before you take a trade and you get comfortable and you become normal again, I think that'll absolutely vastly improve your trading, and it'll improve your headspace and your focus when you're looking at the charts. And I think that's really important for everyone to take home. It's an important
Yeah.
lesson. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. You want to take your time. It's crazy how fast the markets move, but like they give time
Hmm.
because like the traders that they want to win are still methodical in all the time frames that they wait. Even if they're playing off a 15-second chart, they usually will wait for the 15-second candle to finish or to hit their level, and they're not doing anything without that. And everybody else is chasing the money. Like
Absolutely.
I can't. That's why it's funny, but like most of the time, the best traders will get ridiculed because what they're doing, everyone else is like, but it's going down. You're buying longs. It's been going down for, It's been going down for 200 points. This guy's buying longs. What the? Oh, it's going, huh? Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it rips like 400 points, and they're just like act like they're brand new because they don't even look at the day after it's done. They just look at their P&L and they're like, "Oh man, I made $70 today, dude. That was a rough one. I was up 1,000, then I went down 2,000, just made $70, man. That's you know what, we're doing pretty good. Let's go get a milkshake or whatever." And they try not to look at the chart and what they've done wrong and how terrible they did.
Yeah.
Which honestly, like this show is good for that because
You
like
know, I think that's something that we have said in previous episodes. You really, if you want to evolve as a trader, like me and VJ, we cannot tell you enough. If you want to evolve and you want to grow as a trader, you need to journal your trades, and you need to revisit those trades and learn from them. It's an
yeah,
absolute necessity. This is the whole reason for the show. We're looking at our really shitty trades, and we're reviewing them. We are reviewing them. We're seeing what we did wrong, what we could change, what our mentality was like. Everything to do with a loss of money has got to be reflected on, and that's, I think, the number one take. For example, if you don't know your trades, for example, and you trade to the point where you're trading, you know, 100 times a day, and you physically can't keep count, that is a big indication for you to take less trades. And you know, we always, whoever trader you are or whatever you trade, if you're a patterns trader or you know you trade ICT like us, if you come to the show and you're really looking to improve and to learn from these sort of trash trades, these sort of mentality lessons, this sort of education, I think it really says a lot about how you're eager to develop as a trader, and it's really about you wanting to develop. We know a lot of traders, me and BJ, that don't want to change. You know, they don't want to be profitable. They don't want to move from the dopamine filled, adrenaline rushed, environment that they're in. So they never reflect. They never learn. They don't reach out. They do nothing, and they just stay unprofitable
We
forever. Yeah, go ahead, BJ. What are you saying?
uh yeah, I was gonna say it's not that, like Lucas said, like they don't want to be profitable. It's not that they don't want to be profitable. That's actually all that they want.
Yeah,
And that's sort of the thing that fucks them up. Like they want the profits badly, but they don't understand in order to get the profits, you must take certain steps that are very difficult if you were just looking at profits. If
absolutely.
you're looking at your P&L, it's very difficult to take a loss and then be like, oh yeah, I've lost enough money today, I'll come back tomorrow and be happy, like happy that you followed your plan. Luca was saying, all your losses need to be looked at. Yes, but many of your wins probably need to be looked at too.
Absolutely.
Pretty much all of your trades, your win rate, the way it is, if you have a plan, especially if it's a highly structured plan, that most of us that are like that have decent plans in or models in SMC or ICT, like there's a structured plan. You're waiting for some things to happen before you even should click the button. And if you're having like trouble doing that, like these are things that I don't know.
They're things that no profitable trader does.
That exactly. And like, but then if you only focus on profit, it is hard to do those things where
Yeah.
stop if you make this much money, stop if you lose this much money,
Mm-hmm.
come back the next day. Trade only these models when it's clear to you, regardless of how much the market is moving, how much money it seems that you might be losing or missing out on. If these things didn't happen, or if they did happen and you missed it, it is okay. You journal it and we come back another day, you get better.
Absolutely.
But you don't start doing these other things. But as soon as people are like, yo, the market's gonna, it's like, oh, it's already gone down 70 points. Okay, I'll go ahead and short. And then it starts long and they're like, or it goes down a little bit. And like, you could tell by the way that people like hold to their targets or not if they're really doing it. Even I could tell with me. I could tell as soon as I started getting a little jumpy and stuff, it's like, oh, you already know you shouldn't be in and under this. And that's why I actually just prefer to just take the trade that I should, because it's so much more calming, so much more enjoyable. The long term visibility and profits is clear as day. But then as soon
Absolutely.
as you're like, oh man, this guy he made 5K. Oh, this guy he made this and that. Oh yeah, did you see him like lose the 15K that he didn't post about? No, you just see this little thing. The amount of people that we know that are quitting or taking breaks that other people think are doing great is like, it's most people because they
Exactly.
post their gains, so it looks like they're killing it, and then every day, 4 out of 5 days, they bleed, and then nobody sees that, and then they're like, "Yeah, I gotta go chill, or I might, this is too much for me. I gotta like," and people are like, "But you're killing it. What the hell? What do you mean? What?
Absolutely.
Why are you gonna? Oh man, this game is really hard." When it's like, yeah, this game is really hard, but like, that's how hard it is. That like you're losing, so you think them posting some occasional wins mean that they're winning, and then it's hard for them to even admit that they're losing, and it's like that's the opposite place that you want to be. And that's sort of like hopefully the show can like make people understand that like everybody loses. I said some dumb shit. I probably said this before in the show to Luca um before I started my own personal losing streak in like December for a bit. And I said, because I was just like hitting these crazy plays so consistently, and my accounts were marching up, and I was trading just like a few micros, just like hitting my goals, like sometimes like in the first couple minutes of the market, just like shit like running my way, and I remember telling Luca like, and I'm a humble person, as humble as you can be with a crazy ego too, but I was like, So what happens? So what happens like in the show if like we just don't have like that many trash trades? Now I didn't. I think I have a lot less trash trades than I have than nowadays. I'm following my rules much more
Mm-hmm.
than I was for a while. But the what I was thinking was like, oh yeah, like what if our losses become just like so few? Like we only lose like 10 times in a year. Like what am I going to do? It's like yeah, if you take like 30 trades or less, maybe you lose 10 times in a year if you have a great win rate or whatever. But to say that you're not going to get losers or mismanaged, and even if it was good or get in a little bit too early and just get smoked because you were, that's going to happen even as you get better. Like you will lose. Losing is part of this thing.
Yeah.
And how people are so afraid. Like the reason why you cut your position, I'm not talking to you, Luke. I'm talking to anyone in the audience that feels this. The reason why you cut your positions with less profit than the stop loss you're willing to take is because you are afraid to lose and you want your win rate to be high without thinking about the overall damage it does to you in the long term when you cut your profits at $70, but you're willing to take a $200 stop loss.
Absolutely.
And your win rate could do whatever, but if you don't understand like that the game is like allow your trade plan to go through and get good enough at trading where you can have a risk to reward ratio that allows you to not even need a high win rate to stay alive, and then go ahead and get the win rate.
You know,
And you'll not only stay alive but make money, and then you could just wait, knowing exactly where you'll be out and exactly where you're on.
yeah. You know, I think the really the moral of this episode, I'd say, is that you can be bright green. You know, if you traded for whatever, how many hours, and you're green on the day, that does not mean that you took good trades. And I will tell you from absolute first-hand experience that I have been green and I've done nothing about those trades I took because I assume, if I'm green, I traded well. If I'm green, I traded well. It's really about re-looking at those trades because that's where you find the real, the liquid gold on you improving as a trader. You have to go back no matter what. P&L does not dictate you as a trader and how good you are as a trader. And I think really that's something to take home is that you always have to be looking back on your trades, green or red, and you always have to be learning from them. Absolutely journal. You have to save all your trades. You have to save your thoughts when you place the trades, etc. Because that's really the hidden, I would say, like key source of information for you to do better. And yeah, I honestly I think it was a good episode. We went through a lot of things. It's the mentality to what we've seen over the years of people that are the tendencies of those unprofitable people just chasing the P&L, etc. And yeah, what do you think, PJ?
Yeah, I think we killed it. I think we did pretty good.
Yeah, we've got
I think we
socials.
did all right.
Yeah, we've got socials in the description. Check them out. Hopefully, we got a referral link down there for Top Step accounts or whatever when you're watching this. But it's a work in progress if it's not there. But yeah, we got socials. If you want to hit us up on our socials, DMs or whatever, please do. We're more than happy to talk to any one of you guys. And yeah, I think that's it. Absolutely.
Yep. Love you guys. Appreciate you.
We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. All right. See you guys.